I'm Jaiye Empress, and my company is Impressive Expressions.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys are in for a South Florida treat. I have Jaiye Empress on. We could have did this in public, in person, because we are so close in vicinity. But there's always round two. We always want to have a round two, three, four in life. You just want to be able to connect and hold on when it's right. So, Jaiye, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I am blessed and beautiful. I'm feeling great.
Awesome, and that you are. Can you tell the people, who you are as a spoken word artist, who you are as a healer? I just like to say artist and a creative because I'm not in a box. I don't want to put you in a box. And when I transition, I don't want to be put in a box. And so I want to be free to be me. So let the people know who you are.
I so appreciate that because I like to say that I'm a bit of a paradox. I definitely do not like to be put in a box. I have so many different titles and so many different hats. And at the core of it, I am an artist. Everything that I do is through artistry. And my main form of artistic expression is through poetry, spoken word, of course. But I'm also a healer, as you said. So my self-described title is Griot Soul Seer, which is an acronym. Griot is Goddess, Rebel, Inspiring Original Thought. And then Soul Seer is, a spiritual storyteller, someone that, is a creative visionary. So that's like all of my artistry in a nutshell. But I do erotic poetry. I conduct workshops based off of my creative expression. I teach Black women how to heal themselves and love themselves unapologetically, especially through using sacred sexuality because I'm all about, the sacral energy and being sexy and all those type of things. What else do I do? I have a book. I'm an author, an authoress, as Maya from Girlfriends used to say. Let me see what else. So many different things. Artistpreneur. My business is Impressive Expressions, and again, I use my artistry to help people, especially Black women, learn how to tap into expressing themselves creatively. So that is probably a small little preview into everything that I do, but I'm gonna leave it at that for now.
And tell the people, because sometimes, those of us who came up in the 80s and 90s, when they hear erotic poetry, they think Punani poets, which if you've never been to one of their events, oh man, I'm sorry you missed it or haven't been. But tell us, what is erotic poetry? Because folks might go back to HBO and say, oh, that's what she does. She gyrates while doing her poetry, while stripping naked, and calls that, art. And so for the prudes, let them know, your style.
For the prude, oh man. My style, I'm centrally vulgar. I'm definitely for the sapiosexual, those people who really like words and for things to be put together in an intelligent, eloquent way. So like I'm one who I used to like read the dictionary when I was younger. So I'm someone who's very, very into words and I like to paint a very vivid picture with my words. But I also get very poetically and artistically nasty. Like I feel like sex is healing. It's also pleasurable. It's fun, and I believe in just being very open about it. So a lot of folks when they hear erotic poetry, they think the very pornographic and very nasty, and it can be that like we that's how we all got here. Let's be real. But I also like to add in the sensual elements of it because sex is freedom, and it's not just the the physical act of it is the intimacy. So like I said, I like to paint, pictures. I like to tell a story. So when you journey through my erotic poems, there's always like there's a buildup. There's I like to say it's like a meal. I give you, the appetizer, I give you the main platter, and then I give you the dessert. There's a whole 3 course, sometimes 5 course, meal that I serve you through my words so that you leave feeling very satisfied, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's a whole holistic experience. So I hope that answered your question, but I'll have to provide a little, sample later on to give you a real taste of what I do.
Anytime you want to jump in with that, feel free, because I think we must be going through like another sexual revolution. We weren't there in the 60s and 70s to experience that. But it seems like even Netflix now with Gwyneth Paltrow has like the Goop Lab, and they're showing what people have been doing for decades, but they're showing it on a big platform where this used to be so taboo. My wife and I were just watching it, and I'm like, yeah, they talking our language. Well, they're talking all of our language, because they're showing that it's not just the intercourse or even the kissing. It really starts with how you even talk to someone, the touch, the smell, the fragrance of that person, and if that is your tribe. So, do you think that this, like, women coming in to another platform of, hey, I can be who I want to be, and also men saying, okay, I can actually like those things that might have been taboo back in the day. Are we going through another revolution right now?
That's a good question. First off, I want to know what's the name of that show so I can tune into it.
It's the Goop Lab, Goop. If you just type in Gwyneth Paltrow, it will pop right up in your Google or your Netflix. And it's a series, so it's not just a one night stand. Because y'all, one night stands ain't the plan. You need to have a real, real relationship with the series.
I feel that. I do think we're coming through. It's not just a sexual revolution that I feel like we're coming into. I feel like that we're in the revolution of just like self-discovery. People are understanding that there's freedom in just being who you are and owning who you are and all parts of that. And so sex sells. So of course that's like at the forefront. But I think that, it's all connected, you know what I mean? And like I like what you said about the intimacy of it. Like it's when I think of erotic, I think about Audre Lorde, and I think about the erotic as power, and how it's not just about the intercourse. It's about the senses, the sensuality of it. You know what I mean? Like how something makes you feel, the pleasure, and it doesn't have to be something that's just connected to the physical act. Like anything could be erotic. Joy is erotic. It's that sensation of feeling that's within you. And so I feel like there's a revolution of people being able to really connect back with like what actually makes me feel good, what makes me feel good on a spiritual level, and being able to like really own it and embrace it unapologetically. And that gets transformed into something that's very enjoyable on and also physical level, but it's not just physical.
Okay, where do you think, for our community, and, the world is our community to me, so it's kind of a difficult question. Where did we go wrong with the whole taboo or even taking advantage of another person where that's all that I want? It's almost like the purge. Like all I just need is that kill, right? And then everything is good until I need that next kill, and you're never satisfied. So like in the history of where things just stopped, it went wrong, where it was just me, especially in this country.
Oof. It's funny you asked that because I just finished for maybe the fourth time. Bell Hooks has this trilogy on love. And the first one is all about love. I'm trying to think what the subtitle is. I can't think of what the subtitle is right now. But it's like my book Bible, and I read it almost every year. And so I read it again this year. And each time I read it, it's like new insights. And she talks about how, America particularly, it's not just America, it's the Western world, but definitely America in particular. Like we've just become so obsessed with consumerism, you know what I mean? And because we're so like such a consumerist culture, everything has to be instantly accessible. And that translates into how we think about love. And when you think about social media is this really, really dope tool, but it makes everything so instantly available all the time. And that's not how the real world works. That's not how love works. And so I feel like, with the millennials and definitely more Generation Z, there's been this kind of this instant gratification where we get so caught up in the now, and the I have to have things right now, and it has to be just for me, and we divorce anything that has to take like patience. We divorce anything that's takes work, because we think that work is something that's is to be despised, is something that it's not rewarding. Like there's rewarding in the work that you do. There's redemption and struggle, but like we've come to this generation of just like everything has to be so fast and it has to be very easy, and like that's just not how life and love works. So yeah, like in the book she talks about, even though we have these very strong inclinations and these strong yearnings for love, because we're in this instantaneous type of culture, and no one actually teaches folks how to love, has become like very minimized. People are in this kind of conflict with themselves and with each other. Like you see the war of the sexes and stuff on social media, where as much as you want love, you're afraid, because if it's not quick, fast, if it's not easy, then you think that it's not worth it, and it's going to, it's going to create pain, it's going to create sorrow, which again is not something that we need to overemphasize, because life is pain. And so there becomes this conflict of like, okay, I want this really, really bad, but I don't know how to go after it. I don't want to put too much work into it. So instead I shut down and I close myself off and I hurt people. And then it creates this cycle, because hurt people hurt people. So that's a long way of saying like, yeah, with social media and technology and, just us being, especially in America, just being, wanting everything whenever we can get it, like we just kind of shut ourselves off and repress ourselves. And now we're getting to a point, especially with the pandemic, where it allowed people to really sit and reflect and think about like what's most important. Now we're starting to see through that and understand that like everything doesn't have to be so quickly. And there's that saying of like, um if it's worth it, you'll work for it. I'm paraphrasing, that's not how it goes, but pretty much, if it's worth it, you'll work for it. So now people are starting to understand that work isn't something to be afraid of. Like it's a reward in making the actual effort.
Well, speaking about books, there's, the Wild Yoni Flower, written by you on Amazon. You guys, links are in the description. There you go. And, let's talk about your book, because when you said, is it worth it? I'm like, is she about to bust out Missy? Is it worth it? Is it working? But let's talk about your book and, why you wrote the book and what people can get out of the book.
Yeah, so it's Wild Yoni Flower, a self-love journey. And I call it my poetic memoir. It's pretty much a collection of my favorite poems and diary entries that really just reveal me in my fullest, raw, vulnerable state, like everything. And it's in three parts: wild, yoni, and flower. The wild is like what it sounds like. It's wild. Wild from like sexual, wild from being unapologetic. Like I have a chapter that's like no forgiving. Yoni is more of the spiritual side of me. Yoni is, for your temple, your sacred sex. You know what I mean? It's a nicer way of saying that. So it's more of the spiritual side of me, it's more of the sensual side of me. And then flower is like my soft, delicate parts, so my affirmations, also spiritual essence of me, and just like, the growth of myself. So I wrote this, really just for me, because like I said, at first it's a collection of my journal entries. So a lot of it I wrote when I was going through different spiritual journeys. Like most of it actually, I did my first fast. I did my first fast, and I woke up at a certain time. I only ate certain things, and ate at a certain time of day. And I journaled, through 21 days. And out of those 21 days, a lot of the wisdom and gems that came out of that went into this book. So, it's a great piece of like self-discovery of learning how to really look at all the parts of yourself and embrace the parts of yourself, the wild untamed parts, as well as the soft and vulnerable parts, and just being able to love all of that unapologetically and unashamedly. So that is why I wrote the book.
But I got to push back and go even deeper on the book, because when hearing you speak, and you are a poet, so of course you have a poetic voice.
Thank
I
you.
don't yet see the audio book that people are waiting for so they can wake up and go to sleep to when is the audio book read by yourself? No one else can read it. When is that coming out?
No, I've been told that so many times that I need to do an audiobook or audiobooks. So that's something that I really need to prioritize. I've been writing, I have several other books in the making, and I've been writing another book actually on the more difficult parts of my life. So this does have some, it's like I said, it's very raw, vulnerable, but it's more sensual. And even though there are some elements that are kind of sad, it's more sexy. This book that I'm writing now is like delving into the pain. So I haven't really taken the time to think about recording, but I'm gonna have to prioritize that. I'm gonna have to get on that.
Nosotras necesitas un audio libro. We need the audio book. We need that in English and in Spanish, because we are in South Florida, and I know you are capable. So the audiobook is on the way, folks.
Yeah.
We gonna push. Send her messages. Hey, I wanted to get the book. Say you're illiterate. Say whatever you need to say. Tell her you want the audio book. Now, now you do a lot of things as a creative, and you even get into the beauty product line. So tell people, when they go to your site, how and what products you have and what makes those products unique.
Thank you. Oh man. So I'm shifting. I started off with a lot of like cosmetic products, with handcrafted body butters, and I still have some available on sale. I have to put them back on the site, but Majestic Melanin Magic was my first body butter, and then Indigo Magic. So everything is poetically inspired. Like I said, I'm an artist first and foremost, and my main form of artistry is poetry. So all of my products are poetically inspired, either directly from a poem or the essence of a poem. So and they all come with like poetic cards that detail what inspired the actual product. So I have handcrafted body butters, all organic ingredients. I have poetic apparel, so different, like the top I have on different crop tops and hoodies, mostly for the ladies, but there are some unisex shirts available for the guys as well, that have like my symbol. You can see my pillow in the back. This is a West African Adinkra symbol for creativity, Anansi, the spider web. And so I have a lot of different uh, apparel that have that symbol on it. I have some different quotes from my poems on like tote bags and stuff, pillows. What else? There are affirmation cards. So mini like mini 4x6, 5x7 cards that you can put up in your mirror. You can frame them, that have words that will help inspire you and empower you if you're feeling a little bit down, or just to, like I say, use affirmations like it's like mantras. Whether you're in a good mood or you're not in a good mood, it's a daily practice that you must implement. So I have those available. And then I have spiritual talisman, which are pretty much like travel affirmation pouches. I wish I had the stuff here so I could demonstrate. But the pouches are different mixtures of herbs that I put together, flowers and herbs, and then a little affirmation in it, that says I'm strong, I am anchored, I am protected, I am loved. So that you can put in your purse, put in your pocket, and whenever you just need that a little reminder, having that sensual reminder, something that you can smell, something that you can feel, something that you can read, it's available. And then my book, of course, is also available. I also have a course. It's on pause right now, but I have my first artistic course available. Wild and Sexy, Wild and Sexy Self Love series. Totally got tongue tied. And it's pretty much teaching again for Black women because that's my base first and foremost. I may open it up a little bit later, but it's for Black women, teaching them how to get in touch with their sexuality and being able to get comfortable with it in a way to unapologetically express yourself. And so that's a 5-week course that will be returning next year in probably the end of January. So stay tuned, for that. There's my newsletter, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the website to peruse and look at and shop.
You definitely won't be bored, and you won't get lost because it's very neat and clean, to go through. You said a key word, so I got to pause anything else that I was thinking about. But when you say Africa and it's on your body and the symbol, I need to know, have you been able to connect? Have you been able to visit Africa? Are you like myself getting ready to go to Sierra Leone next month so you can go get your citizenship in Salon Bobo? Let us know your relationship with Africa.
Okay, so I need to know more about that. The citizenship of Sierra Leone. That's super dope. Yes, I have had the opportunity to go to the continent. I went to Tanzania in 2016, and I lived there for a month, and it was amazing. It was amazing. I actually was thinking about it not too long ago. I haven't been back since, unfortunately, but I have so many great memories and so many like ideas that have been there that inspired. And so I definitely want to go back again, and I want to do a continental road trip. Actually, I would love to just ride from like Madagascar to Morocco. I know I'm gonna have to use a boat at some point, but I would love to do that. I'm very, very, very Afrocentric, so like if you can kind of see around, implements of the continent and of the diaspora. I'm definitely about my people wherever they are because we're global. But yeah, I speak a little bit of Swahili. I'm a little ashamed to say I lost a lot of it. French has been, I've been really obsessed with French lately, so French has been at the forefront. But I know a little bit of Swahili. I've been learning Yoruba. I did my ancestry, and I've learned that I have Nigerian ancestry. I'm not sure which ethnic tribe yet. I'm thinking Yoruba, and Jay actually is Jaiye in Yoruba, which means to enjoy life.
All right. I'm going to send you some stuff. You'll see it in your DM, and you tell me when it's too much because I can give you the whole, like I'm creating I have a course on how to travel, but we'll get into that and off there, and I'll share more. Let me ask, and since you speak, Swahili a little bit, I would have said Uhaligani, and, we would have, really tapped in the right way. Kenya, I still got y'all on my wrist, man. Tanzania, I can't wait. I can't wait to see you again. When you went to Africa, tell the people, what was the vibe? What was the feeling that you got? Did they tell you, foreigner, get out of here, you're not welcome?
So it was, oh man, uh it's indescribable. It was so many different things at once. Because it was heartbreaking a little in some moments. I'm not gonna lie. It was amazing. It was super beautiful. It was a great learning experience. So, like I said, I was there for a month, and I had the opportunity to actually stay locally because I went with my teacher, my Swahili teacher. So I got to stay and live with his family. So I got a whole different experience than if I was to like go with the school, which is what I was supposed to do originally, and that got canceled. So I'm very stubborn, and I was like, like I have the opportunity to go. I'm gonna figure out and do this. So we we did this kind of like off the books internship, and I stayed with him and his family for a month, and I volunteered. And so having that hands-on experience, I got to really like be immersed in the culture. And that was a blessing, but also it was very challenging because you know how black people are. Whenever we don't know you, no matter where we from, like there's that, we gotta kind of scope you out, you got to be vetted. And like I expected that, but I didn't expect the vetting process to take so long. And I think that because it was my first trip, so like I had certain expectations, and then I tried not to come with like preconceived expectations, but trying to navigate through all of that, it leaves you kind of off balance. And I think folks can sense that, because it wasn't until I just was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just be me, that I had a much better experience. Like the first couple of weeks, I was doing my best to kind of like fit in and, I'm speaking the language, and it's like I stuck out like a sore thumb. And that was for better or for worse, because sometimes they would say, welcome home, Dada, welcome home, sister. And, there was a lot of Tanzanians are very, very hospitable. So there was definitely a lot of, warmth and hospitality. But then sometimes there was like this kind of scrutiny that I just couldn't seem to get away from. And it seemed even more highlighted, me being a black person, and a light skinned black person at that, because where I was in Arusha, which is the mountainous area of Tanzania. I was in Arusha, and then I spent a week in Dar es Salaam, which I love Dar es Salaam, and then Zanzibar, which is like my heart, my dream space. I cannot wait to go back to Zanzibar. But at first in Arusha, yeah, it was a lot of like scrutiny. And even though they receive a lot of different tourists and stuff, I guess they hadn't received a lot of like Black Americans. So they were used to Europeans, white Europeans. So they really didn't know how to place me. And, it left me feeling very, very off centered and off balance for a minute. And I had my first set of locks, which were much longer and much skinnier. And so they kept thinking I was Jamaican. And so I had to keep, correcting folks. I got my Trini flag over there. And I'm like, no, Trini. They didn't know. And so I just kept being called Rossi, Rossi, Rossi. So that was a little bit like annoying and frustrating. And then I got robbed like my first first week there, in a sea of these white folks, and they picked my ass out, and I got pickpocketed. I was so hurt. So there was definitely like some challenges, but once I just learned to kind of find my own footing and just recognize that whatever I do, I'm going to stick out. So just embrace being different. And I think that it was a lesson for not just Tanzania or Africa, but like period. You know what I mean? Just being able to embrace like your differences. You know what I mean? Like you're going to stand out wherever, and it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to embrace, the differences that I received from other folks, as well as, them not being able to understand and have certain questions, even certain questions that were a little bit uncomfortable. I really enjoyed myself. And like I said, I learned so much. The countryside was absolutely beautiful. The fruits, oh, oh my God. So yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I can't wait to go back.
Man, your story. I love hearing the story. And I'll tell you what it could have been was, since it was your first time on the continent, a fish out of water, but that this is where I belong. This is me. And, you know, anytime they take let me watch my words because people will take this and say, he's calling you an Akata, folks. Hey, I'm from Okanda, y'all. I'm from Okanda. I'm from Oakland, California. But, you know, I don't, the word Akata, it don't bother me like many words because they're just words and you probably ain't talking to me. But you take a fish, you take any animal and put it back in its natural environment. Yeah. Here, things don't make sense sometimes to us. Why many of us are locked up because naturally that's not how we do stuff in our DNA. That's not, we have to learn how to do stuff, and we are African. There are things that globally Black folks do the same way Asians and everybody else, right? So you are just getting back in a month is the minimum you need to spend, y'all, if you go to Africa. The minimum you need to spend. A week ain't enough. This ain't London. This ain't Jamaica. You need to be there for at least a month. And so that's all it was, just getting used to the things. And you got your Swahili down. I'm so proud of you that you even wanted to learn. Because so many other Americans would be like, it's too hard. But you know Mandarin and everything else. And, you know, but to each his own, because a local consutima, you know, you guys are in your own movie. It's all good. With Africa, have you thought of going and making it almost a business trip? And it doesn't have to be Tanzania, but it could be where you find where you're from, you know, wherever that may be, or somewhere, anywhere in the world. The whole continent is yours. Have you thought, like, I want to do a whole poetry tour here because they don't have what you do over there, the way you do it. And I will tell you more off air that I don't want to bore the people with your personal plan that I'm thinking for you. But give us the game on if you go back and actually opening up a bank account and doing some tours. Has that even crossed the mind?
Yeah, actually, I thought about that a lot. I thought about that before I went to Tanzania. And it's funny because Tanzania wasn't initially on my radar. I always wanted to go to Kenya. But besides that, I mostly wanted to visit West Africa and then Ethiopia and Morocco and North Africa. But like, I didn't even like think about Tanzania. It was one of those kismet things. I was learning Swahili. I started practicing Kwanzaa. And the next thing I knew, my school was like, they were going to do this trip to Tanzania. And so I'm like, yes, this is my opportunity to finally visit the continent. And like I said, that trip fell through, but I was like, I'm going to make this happen. But yeah, before I made that trip, I had already been thinking of it. I was going into a graduate program and I got my master's in African and African diaspora studies. So like I said, Black as hell, Afrocentric as hell. And I wanted to do my research at first on griot poets, you know, in West Africa, just the whole artistry of, you know, the griot, not just the aspect of like that they're a poet, you know, that's why I adopted the moniker for myself. Not just that they're a poet, but they're a storyteller. They are a culture keeper, actually. You know what I mean? They chronicle the cultures of, you know, where they're from. And I really wanted to like connect that to like our history. Like how does the griot show up in the African diaspora, particularly in, you know, in America? So, you know, I was thinking about doing that and having that reference to be able to go back and forth and, you know, tour and things like that. But I ended up studying something else and I kind of, you know, put it on the shelf. But when I went to Tanzania, one of my favorite artists, Diamond Platinum with the Moan. Yes. And it's funny because he is like, he's kind of considered a little bit eccentric, you know, like he's definitely not really like the norm, you know, in Tanzania. Someone with tattoos and, you know, singing, and now he's crossed over and he's in so many different genres and stuff. And so I thought about, you know, creating avenues to be able to do things like that. But I was still learning the language. And so long story short, I've thought about it, but I was doing so many other different things, and I was like, I need to get a firmer grasp on the language. But like I said, I want to do a continental, tour, or just a continental visit. So yeah, that's something I would definitely love to connect with you further about, because yeah, there's so many different places in Africa that I want to go to. There's so many different places that like I'm really steeped in the history and the culture. So to be able and the music, so to be able to, go and do what I do, and to, infuse that with the different languages, the different, music styles. Oh hell yeah, that would be so boss. Yes, yes, all the yes.
Yes. Well, he's eccentric because any brother that will catch a grenade for you as long as he wants you to, and every time that you lay down with him, he'll make you. Well, you guys got to hear that part in Swahili. I don't want to, you got to hear it. But yeah, that's Plus, when you're worth millions of dollars, every artist can't even say that. So yeah, he's going to be a little different. He's been exposed to something different, and we love that exposure. You guys go check out his song "African Beauty" with Amarion, and you will you'll love it. I almost guarantee. If you have a love for Africa, you'll love that song, wherever you're from. And Omarion speaking Swahili in there, y'all. He's singing.
Neo too. I can't recall the
Yeah,
name right now, but there's one with Neo that's really beautiful, and Neo is speaking Swahili, Kiswahili.
yeah. So that is a beautiful thing. Now let me ask you, and it's my signature question. For all the success that you've had and the best is yet to come, because you're young, you're vibrant, you're ambitious. Black don't crack, so you're gonna be here. Just able to move for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades.
Yeah.
Let me know. Yeah, what is a community give back that you're doing or that you want to do in the future?
Like that just that just like lights me up, because there's so many things that I want to do. The ultimate thing that I would like to do. So I'm a traveler, and my goal is to actually live around the world. I'm in the process of making that happen, where I can be untethered to any one physical space for at least a year. I just want to be able to move around. But how that relates to my business, I want to create Black self care retreats, and with an artistic spin, of course, where you get to, explore your creative expression and, yourself through creative expression, but in these either I want it to be Black diasporic countries, but even countries that aren't majority Black, that there's still, there's a mentor that I have. She's from Trinidad, and she always says, look for the African in everything. So, whether I am going to Middle Eastern countries, like where's the African? Where are we? So, I want us to be able to like tap into our history no matter where we are, and have that a part of these self-care retreats. And ultimately, I mean, it's going to be a business venture, but I would love to be able to sponsor a few folks where that's something that they don't have to pay for at all. They just show up and get treated, and receive all of these healing services, and be in a different country and learn about, again, our experience in that country, while exploring their sense of self. So that's it in a nutshell. There's way more details, but mum's the word on that.
And you guys got to check in on her website and then find out what her favorite social medias are, where she will talk back and understand that some of that talk or some of your questions may be some paid time. She's a consultant. So the consultant hat on her. She's a teacher. She's a healer. So just you be ready for that. But I'd love to know, and this is a very teachable moment, whether someone's 14 or 44, because I can remember being 14 and loving to write in my journal and then on the computer, and people saying, how you gonna make money doing that? That's all you do. You're gonna be broke and this and that. And now I have to ask them, hey y'all, I think it's work. I think it's work, but doing various things, and it surely wasn't an easy road. So can you let that young poet or even that older poet know what are the ways that once your poetry is done, besides the book, are there ways that you can still get paid as a poet now? Can you go on tour? And how does one even start to do that?
Oh, that's a really, really great question. There's so many different ways to monetize, what you do. But I do want to add a caveat that like everything that you do passionately does not have to be monetized. So there has to be like a balance between, doing what you love and getting compensated for it and getting compensated for it well, abundantly. Um, and also being able to do what you love just for the sake of it's what you love. But yeah, like it comes back to mindset first and foremost, really understanding that abundance is everywhere. And whenever folks like start to think about, oh, you're not gonna make money for that and stuff, like that is a limiting mindset. And it's like I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll be surprised at what people are willing to pay for once you see the value in your work. I mean, some folks could say like with painting, you could do finger painting and that can go for like 5 grand. It's it's the same with poetry. You can write a small haiku and some will be willing to pay you thousands of dollars for it or to hear you speak. But as far as specific ways other than like books, I would definitely say being able to go into teaching definitely, yeah, so it's definitely about the mindset and being able to really see value and what you put out into the world. But as far as like specifics outside of books, teaching has really helped me. So being able to take what I write and transform it or translate it in a way that people can understand it, because people are like when they see me perform, they feel something. It resonates with them. And then I'll have young poets that'll come up to me and say, I wish I could write like this, or I wish I could do this and that. And it's really just a matter of being able to translate what I do and package it to show people that you can do it too. You don't have to do what I do, but you can do it in the manner or in the method in which I do it. So teaching is a really good way to monetize your art. And it could be teaching as in the form of like workshops. I would definitely like incentivize and advise folks to like look into doing some type of poetry workshops or artistry type of workshops. Courses, definitely, especially in this time where we have the digital platform is just forever expanding. Definitely do your online courses. That's definitely a way to make some money, some coin. And then I would say like get creative with when you talk about tours and stuff. Again, having this digital platform, I had started doing. I since put it on pause because I do so many different things. So I'm trying to like limit because I'm only one person. But like I started doing kind of a one woman kind of in the spirit of Intozaki Shanje, like a choreo performance where it was my poetry, but it was a little bit of burlesque and it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that on YouTube. So, you could create a platform like that, like OnlyFans. People don't just use it just for for sex. You could do something like that with your artistry where you create the demand. And again, it goes to your mindset. Once you really understand and you really see and embrace that I have something valuable to say or to share with the world, then you do that and you create a demand and people start investing and being interested, and then you let it grow. And the last thing I would say is just have patience and understand. You said earlier that like it is a hard road, and we can't underestimate that it does take work, but there is reward in the work, and it's not something for you to shy away from or to think that, oh, it's not going to happen. Once you decree something and believe it, all you got to do is speak it and then just continue to follow through, and the universe will grant you whatever it is that you want to do. So that's my advice to all the posts out there.
And this is a message to even, I want to go even deeper with that because people say, okay, but I've been trying to do this and I've been trying to go full time and quit working this, job that I hate going in. What's that timeline, or where do you see how much money does one have to make before they go full time? Because to be an entrepreneur is a risk, and to be an artist and a creative entrepreneur is even like a bigger risk, I think, because it's based on so many different factors. So at what point would you did you even give yourself to say, hey, if I can replace this check and then I can go do what I want to do? Like, how was your mindset when you were going through that?
Well, I'm still not completely full-time artist. Well, I am, and then I'm not, because so I've been in business for 3 years, but I also work at a nonprofit, and I'm really, really blessed in what I do for I call it my part-time passion, but my primary income at the moment. It's still a passion, it's still something that I really love to do, and it's a lot of like intersection and overlap. So, in essence, I do get to do what I do full time, even though my primary income comes from, this outside source for now. So I say you have to really like assess, you have to do like a cost risk analysis for yourself, and that looks different for each individual. Because like for me, when I started my business when I was in the midst of grad school. And I got so many, pushback from mentors and stuff about like how you're only supposed to focus on this during grad school. And I was just like, yeah, nah, spirit told me, and I'm a person that definitely very much listens to spirit. And spirit told me I need to do this now. So I'm doing this now. And now almost 4 years later, I'm still doing this. But yeah, it hasn't been easy. And there's been, moments where my part-time passion wasn't doing it, and I had to hustle with the business. And that's why I say I'm kind of like semi full-time, because even though I'm still navigating both, there have been moments where, yeah, I've had to make sure that like business is in flux, because this isn't working over here. um but I think like being able to, like I said, create that cost risk analysis for yourself, and understand what it is that you want your life to actually look like, how you want to design your life, because for me, I wanted my life to have a lot of spaciousness. I didn't want to have a full-time position. So like where I am is a part-time position, and it pays me well. And then I pick up, other different freelance things for my business and outside of my business. Um, and I have such a diverse set of skill sets that it's like I'm able to, monetize different things that may not necessarily connect to my business, but will, bring in this income. So I have that, I'm from Baltimore, so I have that hustler, that hustler spirit, that hustler mentality, but I'm still not yet in the position. Right now, I'm saving up to where I actually don't want to work, like, period. I want, the business to be really kind of a hobby, like a hobby that will still make me money, but not to the point where I have to hustle. So now I'm at the point where I'm saving up money. I'm saving up, uh, a year's worth of expenses, so that I can just be easy breezy and allow things to come as they may. But that takes a lot of like patience, and that takes a lot of planning. So you really have to like sit and think like, what do I want my life to look like, my day to day, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and start planning that. Not get all in your head about it, but start, really envisioning what that life looks like, and then start taking steps to carry it out. And as far as, the idea of like, I've been trying this and it hasn't been working. Again, like patience, and I cannot overstate or understate patience enough, because there's our time, and how we feel like things should be happening, and then there's the universe time. And the funny thing is, like, first off, time is infinite, and it's also elusive. Like, it's a real thing, but it's also very abstract. We can't really like quantify it. but it's infinite. Like we always have time, but we think that we don't because we are operating on, again, I want things to happen now. Whenever I start thinking like, oh, I'm not at a position of, where I want to be, or, this is frustrating, X, Y, and Z, I take a stock of where I was, a month before, or 6 months before, or a year before. And I talk to that person and I'm like, yo, like there's a framed image of me with this interview. And I'm like, that person wouldn't I wouldn't even have known that that person could have done that in like less than a year. You know what I'm saying? So like me thinking that I need to speed things up, things are already happening in a rapid fire expansion. You know what I mean? I just don't see it because I'm like knee deep in it and I'm thinking like, oh, I always have to go. That's why it's very important to like take a moment, breathe, sit still and reflect and give yourself a lot of grace and know that you're probably a whole lot ahead than you give yourself credit for. So yeah, just be able to reflect and be like, okay, I'm getting there. I'm not in the same position today that I was in yesterday. So I've made progress and I'm gonna keep progressing.
Amen. Amen. None of us are where we would want to be, but get better 1%. Read that in a book. Get better 1%, and you will definitely be happier in a year than where you were and more progressive.
Ashe,
So I want people to go check out the link, whether
ashe.
you are listening, which I know the majority of you are a listening artist or audience, excuse me. Dyslexia pops in sometimes. And if you're a listening, I want you to go check out the links. If you're watching, I want you to check out the links. I want all of you guys to share this game, and we're going to take this conversation off air because you guys got enough homework to go tap in, check out some books, check out some courses, check it out, purchase. Oh, the power of purchasing. Don't just talk about it, be about it. You guys share this with somebody, it will change their life. Be blessed.
This piece is called Tumbao, inspired por Celia Cruz. Esa negrita tiene tumbao. Sweet percussive sounds announces her presence as she walks with the syncopation of ancestral drums embedded in the curvaceous spine of her sinewy backside. Dale, mami, ay. It's a full moon rising. Mucho magia que hay en sus caderas. Cascading craters explode cuando te muevas. Todo el mundo te mira y fascina, así que no pare tu ritmo, mami. Keep striding in your queenly stride, strutting with the force that shakes this earth ahora y para siempre. Eso es. Esa negrita tiene tumbao. Hear her heartbeat echo into eternity with every footstep, because her pasión por la vida is that deep. Living out loud is the only way she can move, more so led by the moon in a magnificent direction. Sus movimientos so deliberate and poignant, the world is struck mute, impressed by her impressive volume, so boisterous men and women fall victim to the rhythmic sensualidad residing inside her soul. Helplessly captivated por su poder, porque infinite ashe tiene ella, ashe. Y azúcar, she has it all. Birthed by la luna, celestial badness blesses her beauty as night shades her spirit, shrouding her essence in beloved mystery. Who is this? ¿Quién es esa divina? Howling wild and gliding gloriously into her greatness. Eclipsed by black girl magic y la brujería. ¿Quién es this lunar goddess? This seductive enchantress, stealing hearts and snatching souls in a swift, sultry eyed second, unrepentant for the sacred possessions she seizes. Esa negrita es mi madre, mis hermanitas, mi hija futura bonita. Ella es mi, la emperatriz, y tiene todo el tumbao y más, y más, y más. Esa negrita tiene toda la ingería, la salsa feria y esencia divina, el amor. I, she, we are rhythm. Míranos y escucha bien. Eso, mamita. Eso. Tumbao. Thank you. Strumming my pain with his finger, killing my life with his word, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly. Peace, killing me softly with this mentally titillating madness. This lyrical connection of thoughtful intercourse, he entered his scholarly instrument deep inside of my brain, seducing my internal contemplations with his virile intelligence. He telepathically deflowered my aura, unchastely leaving his mental mark behind, a special stain signifying his presence. Now my train of thoughts is scattered, flooded with wicked distractions. My perception will never be the same. He parted his lips, and sexy innocence tongue-kissed knowledge in a breathtaking move that defied social pretension and all taboos against public displays of affection, because it's difficult to control how I'm affected in public. I experience multiple orgasms, oral spasms, and psychological wetness. Sharing space and exchanging energies with this individual, he now exists in my chakras, wonderfully defiling my essence, inducing climatic expressions through titillating conversations. This man is killing me softly, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. Intimacy. That's that piece.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.